Here's something that might just blow your mind. One digital marketing consultant went from having panic attacks about no clients in the pipeline to building a business where his monthly recurring revenue covers his entire salary and team costs, even if he never signs another project. Today's guest, Marc Hyde, discovered the secret isn't just about landing bigger projects. It's about creating what he calls a snowball business that grows predictably from month to month. If you're tired of the feast or famine cycle that keeps you up at night wondering where your next paycheck's coming from, this conversation is going to change how you think about building your consulting practice. Marc is going to share exactly how he transformed his mindset around pricing, built multiple streams of recurring revenue, and created a client pipeline that doesn't depend on social media algorithms or hoping someone sees your LinkedIn post. My name is AJ Riedel. This is Thriving Through, the podcast where each week I have real conversations with self-employed consultants about what it really takes to build a sustainable, profitable, and fulfilling consulting practice. Marc's journey from pastor to digital marketing consulting isn't just inspiring, it's packed with practical strategies that you can implement right away. Whether you're struggling to charge what you're worth, feeling overwhelmed by the constant need to find new clients, or just wanting to build something more predictable and sustainable, Marc's story proves that it's absolutely possible to get off the revenue roller coaster for good. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is Marc Hyde. Marc, I'm so glad to have you on the show.
AJ, thanks for having me.
So I'm going to launch right into a problem that you had, that you figured out, that you learned something from, and that really informed your consulting business as you move forward. And that challenge is one that's so common among self-employed consultants, learning to value your skills and charge appropriately. So tell me the story about what kind of where you were at the beginning and then how you got to the point where you were very comfortable charging the right amount.
So you're asking the juicy questions right off the bat. That's a lot of fun. Oh gosh, so I don't know about you or listeners, you guys out there as well. I have done a lot of home improvement projects around the house. I've owned 3 different houses, and at each of the houses, I've had so much different work done. And out of all of those, I have pretty much have rebuilt from the ground up so far on my own 3 different bathrooms. But then I hired one of those bathrooms out because we just didn't have time to do it before we were trying to sell the house. And, like it's one of those things where I started doing it because it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself than it is to hire it out. But it's, when you look at the 3 bathrooms that I did versus the one that I actually professionally paid out to do, you could tell which ones I did versus which ones professional did. And obviously I got better as I went along and watched more YouTube videos. But when you looked at the price tag versus just parts and materials that I did versus what a professional did, there's a stark difference. I mean, we're talking like 7-8 grand difference just because of hiring out that professional. And when you look at that in the creative space, in today's day and age with DIY builders or the Wix or the Squarespaces where they just say, hey, just put in your content and now it will pop out a website. There's that little voice in the back of your head where it's like, well, if they could do it, why would they pay me to do it? And I know contractors have that same mindset of, well, if they can just go do their own bathrooms, why would they pay me to do it? And the answer is, well, it's pretty simple. A, it gets done a lot faster. B, it gets done a lot better. And then C, you actually feel better about the end product. And so primarily with my main, course of work with website design development and like digital marketing, SEO type stuff, I have taken so many people's websites where, they put them together and it was working for a little bit, but they're like, we're trying to do X, Y, and Z, and we don't know how to get there. And then once you start quantifying their problems with the results of those problems, then the conversations get bigger. And so like if someone, all of a sudden like like a comedy club locally. I built them a website. It takes, they can put in their upcoming show features, events, get money, all those different things. Well, that website, I mean, today I would charge a lot more for it than what I did back then. But, back then, someone asked the owner, why are you paying some random dude 3 grand to build you a website? And she said, and I quote, this will bring our business millions of dollars if we do this right. That's a game changer. And then once you start talking with other different folks and start seeing what they're charging, what are industry standards, what are expensive price points, lower price points, you're able to, find your sweet spot somewhere there in the middle. But at the end of the day, it's the fact of I can get projects done a lot faster, a lot better, and you're going to feel better about the product when it's all said and done because it's set up to help you win. And so that's kind of where the mind shift and the mind change, I would say, started for me.
Okay. And I love the quote from our pre-interview. You said once you started charging the right amount, all of a sudden people started to see you as the expert.
Yep.
And it took you 2 solid years to feel like that expert.
Yeah, a hard 2 solid years. Yeah.
Yeah. What I love about this story that you just shared is a couple things. We were chatting right before the interview, and you do something, and I don't know if it's if you've trained or if it's something that comes naturally. You do something, I call it gap selling, and I didn't create that. There's a fabulous book called Gap Selling, but you help people understand the that that there's a gap between their current state, their current situation, and where they want to be. And in particular, you're talking about their websites, but I mean, we all want our websites to work, meaning bring in revenue.
Yep.
And most websites don't, as you know, because you're elbow up, yeah, up to your elbows in website development. But you naturally kind of show people that there's a gap between where their website is where it should be, and they're probably not going to be able to get there because, like you talked about, it'll take too long. They don't know what they're doing. It won't look professional when it all comes down to it. So tell me, is is gap selling kind of come naturally to you, or how did you acquire that?
I'll say the verbiage definitely I was taught on how to appropriately, do speaking of that, sorry, I keep getting notifications from my staff. I have a team now. That's nuts. But so when you look at my history of professional, career and even training, like I was trained to be a pastor. Like I'm ordained in the Southern Baptist tradition. I was a local church pastor for many years. And something that they always teach us, whether it's when you're studying, like for us, like, and I'm not sure what your faith is, AJ, or, our listeners, but primarily for me as a teacher of the Bible, that's what my job as a pastor, I had to figure out what did this mean 2,000 years ago in a Jewish context or 6,000 years ago in a Jewish content. Okay, so how far is that gap between back then to today? Let's build a bridge to get over to that gap. And so that's how we were taught to study and then teach it. And then same with counseling. Like when we're trained how to counsel people, you talk to people about where they're at right now. And then you ask that simple question of, okay, so where are you trying to go? What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you trying to be? And so whether I'm sitting someone down for premarital counseling, that goal is obvious. That goal is very simply we want to get married and not have a sucky marriage. Like we don't want to get divorced in 5 years because of this. We don't want to, just end up becoming roommates. We want a great marriage. Like that's the goal. Okay, cool. Let's figure out where you're at right now. Let's figure out your past, your family story, the chatterbox of what's going on inside of your brain about who you think you are versus who your potential spouse see you versus what we know to be true. Where is that gap? And then let's get you to that spot. And people do this in all realms of life. Like if you're trying to have a fitness goal, there's two different types of people. There's the people that just go to the gym because they know they're supposed to and they just want to not, they just want to go do something. Like there's not a goal. They're just going because they're supposed to go. Or there's somebody like my buddy who went from like couch to, not 5K, but like half marathon type level. And he had a goal in mind. And he was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to do all of these things to get there. And that's the gap I have to accomplish. And so a lot of what my work is talking with business owners to go, okay, so what are you currently doing right now? And then my favorite part of the oh, this is my favorite part of the job is to paint the picture of what they want and what do they vision. If everything went right, if everything is just perfect in 5 years, what does that look like? And I've had people, give me like that comedy club. They're like, we want to be the best comedy club in the entire area. Okay, cool. Can a website really do that or not? Well, yeah, like you got to give a good experience. We have to make sure we have things in order and that money's coming in. And if we're having to do refunds, a good user experience with that, emails, all the different fun things. Or if you're in e-commerce, here's what that looks like. Or one of my favorite clients, her name is Laura. She was just an Instagram influencer who sold her cookbook on a third party website. And she's like, my dream is to have my own website with my own recipes where I can sell my own cookbooks and everything is just owned by me. And the only money I'm quote unquote losing is just to produce the cookbook, not paying all these extra fees to get it to where it needs to go. And I'm like, okay, if that's the goal, here's where you're at right now. Here's the path that we're going to take to get there. You ready to get started? And then that's just when selling becomes easy. Is when people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, they're ready to do something about being sick and tired. Got that from Dave Ramsey. So if I'm just approaching someone's like, "Oh, your website sucks. You need a new website." They're gonna be like, who the crap are you to
Excuse
tell me
me?
that? Like that was rude. Like that's like
Yeah.
walking up to someone just in like eat McDonald's and being like, you know you're overweight, right? Like here's some supplements to help you, and we can get you on a right. Ain't nobody ask you for that. Whereas if I, ask you to paint the picture, now you're inviting me into your story, and now I can say yes, I can be part of your story, and I can be part of that story as long as you want. Maybe I can get you to, maybe the next step because let's be honest. I mean, AJ, I know you know this, and I've heard some of your other guests say this too. There's other people way smarter than me in other areas in digital marketing. And so if I can at least get you to, this specific point, maybe I can hand you off to the guide to take you to that next point.
Love it. So much there that I wanted to follow up with. Well, and let's back up. I want to because this you have such an intriguing story going from being a pastor to being a digital marketing person. Tell us a little bit about how you made that transition, how you tell us about your path to self-employment.
Oh gosh, that's a fun one. So I'll give you the Twitter story. How about that? I won't give you the TED Talk story. So back in 2019, I mean, I was actively pastoring here in South Bend, and if you see behind me, I got all my Notre Dame stuff. So we're hometown heroes over here. So uh, South Bend, pastoring locally. One day found out my wife was having an affair, and that's when a lot of things changed. And so I found that out in the middle of 2019. And then, going into 2020, I was not okay, made some boneheaded decisions. You can't help people when you're bleeding yourself. Like you got to get yourself help and, hurt people, hurt people. And if you're going to, not bleed on people, you got to stop your own bleeding. And so that's what I did. So I technically resigned from the church in January of 2020, not knowing what was about to happen. But the church said, hey, you know what? Can you be here through the end of the school year, get these seniors to graduate, keep the cart on the horse? And at that time it was just me and my kids. And they're like, we want to make sure you guys are okay. So we're not gonna let you just resign. We're gonna take care of you until you can figure things out. And I had a couple of really good job opportunities lined up. I was in money conversation with a local print promotional company in Michiana area. Had a really great interview lined up with one of the I'll call it daughter colleges of Notre Dame. It was St. Mary's. Had a really good interview lined up with them, talked with other people, and then all of a sudden COVID happened and the world changed. And so I went from talking, actual salary package with benefits, all these different things, and lining up some great interviews because I got through like all, you got to get through all the recruiters and stuff like that. To all of a sudden, ain't nobody calling me back because they don't even know if they'll be in business. And thankfully, I mean, the church kept me on. They're like, hey, you know, we're going all digital. We need you even more. So I stayed on through the summer. But between honestly that mark of the summer of 2020 through the end of that year, it was just hustling the crap out of everything. And I leaned in extremely hard to my network to just do random odd projects in the creative space in some way, shape, or form, which got me connected to so many different people that I would not be here today if it wasn't for them. And so for me, it was one of those the carpet got ripped out from under me. I had two kids to feed. I wasn't going to let them down. And I really did not want to actually have to go get a job if I didn't have to, because I mean, I got two kids to take care of, and they both were extremely young, not even in school yet. And so for me, it was one of those, like, if I could fight to stay home to take care of the kids, and then when I don't have the kids, just work the crap out of those days, I'd be okay. And so it really was just a hustle to figure out what creative space I wanted to do. And then I didn't choose websites. Websites honestly chose me. Is kind of how I say it. And so I started working with another marketing company here as their not even junior developer, but kind of like an outsourced guy. And that helped me fall in love with the system and the process. And then I started going, okay, if I can do this, and all I need to do is put these extra few pieces together, why do I need to be the last man on the totem pole to get money? Because you know how it works. If you're the man at the top, you get most of the cut, and then you pay your people on the way down, which that's just normal business model. So I'm like, okay, what can I do to go from the bottom of that totem pole to maybe not the tippity top, but at least like somewhere in the middle? Like, I don't want the scraps. And so I had a very unorthodox journey to that. And then AJ, you tell me, because I don't want to. I can go on Gary V rants sometimes. And I had some very other unique things that happened, like how I met my wife, how I joked that she was my initial investor in the business because of our unique situation with my adoptive kids. And so I don't want to keep going on that direction if we don't want to, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time. But I will say the freelancer life, the consultant life, I didn't choose it; it chose me, and I'm very thankful it did.
That's a great segue into the next question. What has been the biggest challenge that you've faced as you've ramped up your business, and how did you overcome the challenge?
Man, these are juicy. The biggest challenge. I mean, there's been a lot of them. Um, I'll say on the personal level, one of it was believing that I could do this. Like having like the actual thoughts of, holy crap, like we're doing it. Like it went from a my first full year of business, I was making less money than I even did getting paid at the church. And then all of a sudden, year two, year three, year four, it's like we're making real monies now. Like we're doing this, and that was a big challenge. But the biggest one that everyone always said, and I'll share a story about the moment I realized this is, if I was going to be successful, I couldn't rely on the next project. I really couldn't. I had to figure out monthly recurring revenue. I had to figure out some sort of, even if I sign no new clients, no new projects, I'm still getting paid. That was the biggest challenge I had to face. And so I remember it clear as day because my wife told me, she gave me an ultimatum. I finished a project. We signed the deal. It was or not signed the deal. We launched the website. It was great. She's still one of my clients to this day. I'll say she was one of the first bloggers to really give me a shot at a decent price point. And I mean, looking back now, I'm like, it was like $1,800, which I'm like, I don't get out of bed for that. But back then I'm like, dude, this is awesome. But we launched the project. It was great. It was good. I signed her up for like a low key maintenance plan, like $50 a month, just to make sure things were good. And then I had nothing. I had no projects after that. I had no leads. I had nothing to follow up on. It was just, that was it. And so my wife gave me the ultimatum of, I think it was maybe it was 6 months or something like that. Because I'm trying to remember all my different timelines. It was like we originally had a goal of like, if I could make the business successful after like, I think it was like 2 years, like it'd be like, I would stay with what I'm doing. And I had like 6 months left. And she was, if you don't get this thing figured out in 6 months, we got to do something. And we figured that crap out. And so since then, it's been a fight for MMR. And ever since that became the goal, like the getting new websites, yeah, I mean that's where the money's at. But the goal isn't just to get the new client, it's to keep them for the next multiple years. And so I've taken on projects where I'm like, hey, like one person, I'm like I rebuilt their entire website for honestly for free because they hired me to do some different things. I'm like, this thing's completely broken. I have a junior designer. I need to teach her the ropes. Can she rebuild your website? And I just want to host and maintain and support it. And here's the price point for that. Because I know once I get different people in, relationship marketing is how I built the whole business. They'll tell their friends about, hey, this dude just took really good care of me. Like, you should reach out to him. And so I found that anytime that I mean, even scripture says like you're gonna reap what you sow. And so, and some people call that manifesting. Some people call that putting good vibes into the universe, but it's really just the fact of if you plant seeds and you water it, it's going to freaking grow because that's science. And so I try to plant seeds anywhere I could. Sometimes I took cuts, sometimes, it just normal cost. But yeah, we just kept growing and growing and growing. And now I'm at the point where for monthly recurring revenue, my entire salary is paid with it, and some of my contractors get paid for my just the MMR as well. And so it's been a really good fight of a transition over the last few years for that.
What is MMR?
Mm. Monthly recurring revenue.
Oh, okay. Oh,
MRR. I've been saying MMR, haven't I? Monthly, yeah, MRR, monthly recurring
and
revenue. So basically, I make money just for waking up. And so I have hosting and maintenance clients where they host with me. I maintain, I support it. I have Google Ads clients. I got SEO clients where it's just no matter what, that money's gonna hit my account. And so even if I don't sign a contract for a new, which hasn't happened because I said I'll never let that happen again. It hasn't happened in, I don't know, almost 3 years now, I think. My timelines get all skewed as the older I get. Um, it's been the fact of now the whole goal of everything is just monthly recurring revenue.
you call it you used a term, you call it a snowball business.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I love about that, and I challenge the listeners to think about how they can do this in their business. You have overcome such a big, I see it with consultants so often, is that feast or famine, the revenue roller coaster.
Yep.
And you have figured out a way to get off that roller coaster and smooth out so that you have consistent, predictable monthly income.
Yep.
But so I love that MRR, monthly
Yep. MMR.
recurring revenue.
And I learned
Yep.
that from a buddy who was a realtor because he does the same thing. He goes, dude, do you really think I'm selling that many houses in the winter? No, I'm selling all my houses in these seasons. And he goes, do you think I take all that money after I sell all these houses? No, they sit in high yield savings accounts or savings. He goes, because I don't want to wake up one day and go, sorry, honey, sorry, kids, we ain't eating because we party hard back in the summer. So I had a realtor buddy who kind of set me up for that regards, and then other coaches who positioned me to do that as well.
There's another thing that you talked a little bit about that is also important. You talked about pipeline, that you were you were at a point where you didn't have any prospects.
Hmm.
You weren't, so that helped you understand the importance of having a pipeline of qualified leads that you were nurturing into prospects, into clients. How do you how do you make sure that you have a healthy pipeline?
So I did a few different things. Number one is I diversified how leads get to me. During that time, he took a big gamble on me, and it's paid off for both of us really, really well. There's a church marketing company who they primarily were like social media, but they offered websites because they knew they went hand in hand. But the owner was like, dude, I don't touch websites with a 10-foot pole. And their last developer, he went and did a different venture. He's like, I need someone like to start tomorrow. And he's like, you're a pastor, you know the church talk, you know the church language, you know all the things. Do you just want to do it? And I'm like, and this was all over DMs. This wasn't even a phone call. It was nuts. He's one of my greatest friends now. Like that was 3 years ago. And so I still work with him hand in hand with some websites where if they come to him, you know, I get paid less than if it was a direct, church coming to me, but it's still good. It's still good revenue. And I have a really unique relationship with him where again, MMR of if they go to host and maintain and support their website, I get those clients, not him. Like nothing, he doesn't skin nothing off the top. And so I have about 6 of those clients who now make up about, I mean, they're $100 a month. That's $600 a month just through that partnership. But then through that, some have upped their sales of, they want to have higher different packages. They want retainer packages. One has already done a complete redesign. So I've redesigned the same church's website twice. That's a lot of fun. But those are big staples in my portfolio where I've gained other leads because of it. So that's been really, really good. I've also pushed extremely hard for local SEO too. And so if you look up, or even ChatGPT, Claude, look up web designer in South Bend, your boy's at the top. And I might not be number one because I don't have like a physical business address in South Bend. So that kind of sucks. But, right now I'm getting really close to 60 reviews on Google Business. No other web designer in our area has that. And it should be way more, but people are just dragging their feet. And so I've worked really hard where if people are looking for a web designer, they find me first. And then once they find me, then the question is, okay, so what's the difference between you and all these other people out there? Number one is I always tell people when you work with me, you work with me. Like there's other people, like I'm not alone. There's more people on my team to make sure we get the job done to serve you better, but you're going to be on a first name basis with your website designer. And I think I joked with you about this in the pre-interview as well, AJ, is I joke like, and just so you know, you might be my friend by the end of this project too. And so like one of my clients, her name is Soleil, her husband Eric, like we text now because we're both college football nuts. Like we're buddies now. Like, how on earth did that happen? And then all these other different clients, like, once you serve people super, super, super well, they're going to talk about it. And if you get in the right circles, your name gets passed around, you become the guy. And that happened for this creative network that I'm a part of. Like, they're a bunch of bloggers and creators for Instagram and socials and websites out in Utah. I'm like five of their guys. Like I'm like everyone knows who Mark is. And so whenever their friends who are also business owners need help, guess whose name they're passing out? It's me, because I'm on a first name basis. I'm not trying to hide behind an agency thing. It's like I'm Mark. Like when you work with me, you work with me. I take care of you the way that's the way mama raised me. If it ain't good enough for me, it ain't good enough for you. And so when people do find me, I want to set myself apart in that regards of, you're going to see my face all over the website. You're going to see videos. You're going to see pictures of my kids. I'm going to talk about my kids. I mean, heck, even in my monthly newsletter, which side note, you can sign up for by going to markhyde.com. I call it Mark's Marketing Minute. Is I always give a family update. And so all of my clients, and even if you're not a client, you get a family update from me every single month of what's going on with the Hydes. Because, at the end of the day, I'm a person and you're a person and we work with people. And so there are some people who choose not to work with me because they want that agency touch. They want that agency level. They want that agency, whatever. And honestly, I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, that actually is better because then that proves that you're probably not a good fit for me then too. But then at the same time, that makes people go like, oh, dang, like I got a guy. And that's what everyone wants is they want a guy. And not just like, the guy who works, out of his garage for working on cars. Like some people like those types of guys because they're cheap, but it's more like, like if you came to me and said, all right, Mark, I got car issues. Who am I calling? I'm like, yo, you got to call Steve at Precision Transmission. South Bend, they've taken care of me. They've taken care of my mom. They've taken care of us for generations. He'll take good care of you. Like that's a glowing recommendation. That's always been my goal is when someone then says, hey, I need website help. I need this. I need that. Who I talk to is like, oh, dang, dude, you got to go talk to Mark. And it's like, okay, just a random dude, like markhyde.com. Okay, cool. And then all of a sudden we just try to social proof the snot out of that thing. So, there's been a connection of, networking and people leads coming in that way, a crap load of local SEO. But my main one is word of mouth. And I've had 3 leads come in this past week and 2 of those are word of mouth. And oh no, I'm sorry, one of those was word of mouth, but 2 of those were from local SEO. And so it's definitely has been a long, long, long fight, but it's paying off.
And what I'm not hearing that's notable is I'm not relying on LinkedIn or social media to get
Right?
leads.
I don't fully understand LinkedIn. I understand it. I mean, your boy's a millennial, so like, give me Instagram all day long. I mean, I run Facebook groups for crying out loud for my own like little fun ventures. So Facebook, Instagram, love it. LinkedIn, I know that's how we got connected, but I'm trying to figure that out. But no, I don't rely on other people's land to get me my leads. Now, a lot of people use those tremendously, and it's absolutely great. And I'm not gonna, shirk back from that. But for me as a web developer, my joke is if you found me, I can help people find you online too. And so that really is a big game changer there.
And that's important. I mean, I just see so many people saying, I'm just gonna, they bought into this myth that putting content out on LinkedIn is gonna do the job, and it doesn't. It's just a way for some credibility. I had another thought that I just, oh well, it may come back. Otherwise, I will move on to
We'll
some.
keep riffing. We'll keep riffing. It'll
Yeah,
pop back in there. And if it does, just stop me. I'm not looking at you because you're over here on my monitor trying to look good. Straight ahead.
okay. Oh, what you said about updates on your family, that's another piece of it. And quite frankly, that's a piece that I haven't completely gotten comfortable with is that personal aspect. I still have updating on, well, I don't have kids at home anymore. I have a dog, but the updates there would be I have a husband and a dog, so our monthly updates would probably not be all that interesting. But you raise such an important point that when people work with you, they work with you. They
Mhm.
work with us. Consulting is a relationship business, and you recognize that and have mined that for gold.
And that's it. I mean, and there's still things you need to do. Like, yes, you need to have, an authority engine. You need to like a friend of mine, Beth, she, which is also my wife's name, different person. I love her LinkedIn because she is just authority boosting the tar out of it. And she does find a lot of work that way, and she does a great job with it. But then there's also the question of, if that's the only thing you're doing, is that the way people are going to come? Like another buddy of mine, Craig, great on LinkedIn as well. Like, holy crap, dude's got it figured out. But he is a connector of persons. Like, that's really what it comes down to. Like, he doesn't want to just produce content for content's sake. He's a connector of persons. So here locally in Michiana, I mean, he goes to our church. He's a buddy of mine. I helped him start his podcast. Um, Potentially great connection for you too. But so he started this podcast. I think it's like the Path Untraveled is what it is. And what he's doing is he's sitting down with Michiana, which is our area, northern Indiana, southwestern Michigan. So Michiana business owners, just to talk about their stories, about, not just the business, but them personally. And then what he did is this past well, it was 2 weeks ago. They actually rented out a massive space at Notre Dame football stadium, sponsored by the insurance company that he works for. So let's be honest. I mean, they won't get their business. He knows what he's doing. But he connected all those people at the University of Notre Dame for a big event from all the people from season one of his podcast. And they networked, and they had, just good conversations. They ate dinner together. They actually had a speaker come in and like encourage them for their business. And all of a sudden he's looking at this, and I had a, was talking to him about what's the goal of this thing. It's just for funsies. He goes, well, there's a business aspect, obviously. Like, I want to be their insurance guy. Like, that's really what it comes down to. But he goes, when you look at every single person in this room, business owners kind of live on their own islands because they don't always have someone else to talk to. And unless they actively go get their people to talk to, they'll have people in their friends group. They might have small groups for church. They might have their friends group, or like if like my mom hung out with the Little League moms back when I was a kid. But that's different. Like, that's completely different. These are people who are, owning 7, 8, 9-figure businesses here in Michiana that they just can't talk about their problems with somebody else who just doesn't understand it. And he goes, what I just not accidentally, he goes, what I created was a network of other like-minded people who have very similar journeys, very similar faith, but very, very different worldviews. And we brought them together. And now he's known as the guy. Like he is just the networker of all networks. He's winning awards, like 30 under 30, 40 under 40 type stuff. And that's what it is. It's all about people. It's all about relations. And for me, it was a very natural thing. I know, like for you, AJ, I'm not sure what your personality is with introverted or extroverted. I'm on the extroverted side, if you can't tell.
Yeah,
And my wife
I
is
could
even more
tell.
than I am, which is hilarious. But but as a pastor, I shared my life with people. That was my job. Is my job was to legitimately walk alongside your family with my family. If you look at pictures of me doing my ministry, you'll see my son there. Like I'm speaking to people, homeboys right next to me. Like during like even this past year, I'm staff at a church anymore, but like when we were doing VBS, I was part of like the big on stage skit type stuff. You now see my youngest son at the foot of the stage looking up at me. Like, that's what we do. We share our lives together. And obviously, I'm a lot more comfortable with sharing my family and my family's story. And that's how I met my wife. Was she was a single foster mom and adopted all 5 of her foster care placements, and she shared her story online. That's how I found her. Interviewed her on my other podcast, Real Talk Christian podcast, and then we got married a year later. And so we've always just shared our story, because at the end of the day, people don't connect with a website. They don't just connect with an output. They connect with stories, because they can see themselves in your story. Maybe they're like, oh, I like that's just an interesting person. I want to get to know them a little bit more. But when you share those stories, those more intimate details of the relationship, they're going to trust you more. They're going to value you more. You're their guy is really what it comes down to. And so for me, I know I don't quite fit the consultant realm of what a lot of your past guests, which I mean, you got some incredible guests, by the way. A lot of them are more of the tried and true consultant like that's what they do 24/7. Whereas for me, that's just a wing of my business. When people have learned to know me, like me, trust me, and value me, yes, they will give me their business, but they'll keep giving me their business. Why? Because they trust me. They don't want to go somewhere else because what if that person screws them over? And we've had people walk away and then they've come right back because they're like, nope, I gotta come back. And so I've had, people who have come back after their own personal financial struggles or choices or whatever. But if you take care of people, they'll come back.
Exactly. I want to switch to another topic, professional development. You invested heavily in coaching.
Yeah. Yep.
Why?
Ah, I mean, LeBron James got a coach. Like Messi's got a coach. Like the world's top athletes have coaches. Why? Because there's certain things that even if you're the best ball player in the world, Michael Phelps talked about he was the best swimmer in the world. There's still things that he can't see looking at him, being in the middle of it, that a coach from the outside looking in with that perspective can see. And so for me, like, in the business, like I have a lot of people that I can give credit towards. Some people have not actually been officially paid coaches. They just have,
Mhm.
basically helped me like I stand on their shoulders and they know who they are and I still am connected with them. But it seems like every time I was like, I'm not super comfortable with selling this product or doing this thing because I'm not going to sell it to you if I don't fully trust it and fully believe it. And so I had people who were like, "Why aren't you doing this, Mark? You can sell this." I'm like, "Because I don't know if I fully even know how to do it. I'm not a sleazy snake oil salesman. It's more of a I eat my own dog food type person." And so I found myself where I'm like, okay, I'm at a point now where I know financially investing in this will work out very, very well. And thankfully it has worked out well because like I would just do it and not tell Beth, I'm like, hey, I just dropped like, 2 grand, 3 grand on this coaching program. And she's like, are you what? And this is before I was making decent money. Um, but those people help set me up to know just what's out there, how I should shift my mental thinking, how I should position myself, and even just give me tangible things. And so I primarily have had three coaches. One was Lee Blue, and he gave me tangible things to put in my hands to be like, you can sell these types of products in these types of ways. And then it also just gave me a price point. He goes, well, I know all these people in the group sell it for X amount. You only sell it for this amount. You can go up a little bit more. And so that gives me a little clarity in pricing. Another great coach of mine, Josh Hall, another fantastic podcast, joshhall.co. I'm inside of Web Designer Pro. And that's where my growth has exploded. Like we're talking 3x explosions. And because he's done it in such a way where, I'm able to show him something and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm processing. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Am I right in this? Am I wrong in this? Like, do you need to call me out of my crap? Do you need to tell me to get my head out my butt? Do you need to tell me to like, okay, Mark, stop throwing your pity party and get on your horse and start doing something? And so, yes, there are things inside of those courses that I learned. Like, and in fact, before I even became a student, Josh Hall's course, like the ongoing monthly recurring revenue with hosting, maintenance, and support, that all came from him because I bought his course when I was getting really, really stressed out. And I had a panic. I didn't mention this. I had a panic attack when I had no clients at that one point, a handful of years ago. Woke up in a pure panic. And so I bought his course and that set me up for that trajectory. But because of Josh, I'm able to be connected with other web designers who are also smarter than me to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, in what ways are they doing it. Here's different ways to grow the business. Here's different ways I can maybe potentially package this or do this. Here's a proposal. Am I missing something in here? Am I not? Is my hand in my client's wallet? Am I making the yes or no decision for them rather than just saying, here's what it is to work with me? And then you're gonna have to say yes or no yourself. Like he's, taught me a lot more. I would even say not just how to do my job, but how to have the right mindset to do my job and to do it well. And I've been part of his group now for a year and a half, and Josh is absolutely terrific. And now I'm also and Lee Blue, like I'm still part of his community, but he's not my like hand in hand coach right now. That he was my first one. I'm still with Josh, and then the other guy that is one of my coaches now is Austin Church with Freelance Cake Community, and he's like it's pretty much a lot more on the consulting side of the business, with being the not just the website designer, not just the pixel pusher, not just to make the pretty things on the page, but how do you be a critical strategist in all of this? And how do you not just position yourself as, oh, I'm a website designer, where it's like, no, like I legitimately can get you from point A to point Z if you'd really let me. And so he's done a lot of different work with even just money mindset. Where are holes in in my bucket where I can start plugging up some of those gaps, and which holes am I okay, letting go, because when water falls out of the bucket, what gets below it gets watered. And so sometimes it's okay to have, some holes in your bucket of like, oh, I'm losing money here, but I know it's going to grow something beautiful because of it. And so he actually like, I'm gonna jump ahead because he actually
Okay.
has this book. This is one of them, not the only one, but like this book, Free Money by Austin Church. It's 9 counterintuitive moves for life-changing freelance income. And that book, he was on Josh's podcast. I bought the book that same day, read it in like I don't know, about a month and a half, and there was so much just good mindset things in there. And then I was talking with another friend of mine, Michelle, who is in Josh's community too. And she goes, Mark, you got to come over here with me with Austin's. This is incredible. This is your next step too. And so we're over there together doing that. And so I just have found that even like okay, like I'll just call it what it is. Like even for like Josh's website, when you look at design and development, um, I'm better. Like I just have a natural gifting with that. However, what is he better at? He's better at calling out my crap. He's better at, pulling me up to where I need to go. He's better than the people where it's like, people are like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. Because if you surround yourself with a bunch of naysayers, you're gonna become a naysayer. Where he's like, nah, dude, like you can do more. You can be better. Like here's your next target. Here's your next steps. Every single year I have a coaching call with Josh, and he goes, all right, this was your goals last year. Did you complete them? Where are we at? And he DMs me with these things too. And then we set the next goals, and we set the next goals, and we set the next goals. And so, if you don't have someone there who's pushing you to be better, who's, like pulling you out from the crap, you're going to find yourself very alone and very confused. And even scripture says, one person may easily fall, but two people are better together because they can pull each other up. But a cord of three can't be broken. And so the more people you surround yourself with to encourage you and to build you up, I mean, gosh, it's freelancing can be a very lonely life, but not if you do it right.
That's fantastic. That's a great way to kind of wrap up. So I'm going to ask the single most important question now. How can listeners connect with you if they want to learn more about your work?
Yeah, the easiest way is I made a link just for you, AJ. So if you go to markhyde.com/, I think it's AJR, is what I got. So markhyde.com/AJR, it'll take you to a landing page where it's just all quick links about me, a quick little video, learn about the family. There's some freebies you can download right there, view some of my recent work, and just learn how to work with me.
Wow. Awesome. That's a great thing for all of us to remember too, is when you are guesting on a podcast, put together a landing page for it. Well, Mark, this has been a fantastic interview. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you. And for listeners, that's a wrap on today's episode, and keep thriving through. What strikes me most about Mark's story is how he turned what could have been a devastating career setback into the foundation for something stronger. From that panic attack moment when he had zero clients in the pipeline to now having monthly recurring revenue that covers his entire salary, that's the kind of transformation that's possible when you stop thinking like a project based freelancer and start building like a business owner. The key insight here isn't just about monthly recurring revenue, though that's obviously game changing. It's about Mark's approach to relationships and his willingness to share his story authentically. When clients know you, like you, trust you, and value you, Mark's words, they don't just give you their business once, they keep coming back and sending referrals. If you're caught in that feast or famine cycle, take a page from Mark's playbook. Look for ways to create ongoing value for your clients beyond that initial project. Think hosting, maintenance, retainer services, or ongoing client relationships. And remember, people don't just buy your expertise, they buy the confidence that comes with working with someone who genuinely cares about their business. Mark created a special landing page just for Thriving Through listeners at markhyde.com/AJR. That's marchyde.com/AJR, where you can learn something more about his approach and grab some free resources. You'll find a link in the show notes along with everything else we discussed today. Until next time, keep thriving through.